There are certain moments in television history that transcend entertainment and become something more profound, something that captures the essence of what makes live conversation so magical. What you're about to witness is one of those rare instances where spontaneity, innocence, and masterful hosting converge to create pure television gold. This isn't just another celebrity interview. This is 7-year-old Drew Barrymore, fresh from starring in the biggest film of the year, sitting across from Johnny Carson at the absolute peak of his powers. And what unfolds over the next several minutes is a masterclass in how to connect with another human being on camera, how to let a child's natural personality shine without forcing it, and how genuine moments can't be manufactured or rehearsed. By the end of this, you'll understand why this conversation is still talked about decades later, and why it represents everything that's been lost in today's overly produced talk show landscape. The interview begins with Drew making her entrance, and immediately something unexpected happens. She stumbles. But watch how Carson handles this moment. There's no panic, no awkwardness, no rushing to move past the mishap. Instead, he meets her right where she is, asking if she rehearsed that funny entrance, treating the stumble not as a mistake, but as part of the charm. When Drew explains it's probably her slippery new shoes, Carson doesn't dismiss it. He engages with it, compliments her shoes, and seamlessly transitions into asking if she picks out her own clothes. This is the first glimpse of what makes this interview extraordinary. Carson understands that the best conversations happen when you adjust your pace to match your guest, when you treat a 7-year-old with the same respect and curiosity you'd give to any adult sitting in that chair. What follows is a conversation that feels less like an interview and more like a genuine exchange between two people who are genuinely curious about each other. Drew tells Carson she's been waiting her whole life to meet him, that she found him on this show. When he gently teases her about her whole life being just 7 years, she doesn't miss a beat, calling it a miracle. Carson responds that he stayed on the show an extra 7 years just so she would show up. The playfulness is mutual, the respect is palpable, and you can feel the audience falling in love with both of them in real time. Drew reveals she stays up a couple hours past her bedtime just to watch Carson's show, specifically because of him. When he expresses disbelief, she insists she's serious, and when he asks if she understands all the jokes, her response is perfect, some of them. Carson's reply cuts through any pretense with humor that lands beautifully. Then the conversation shifts into territory that reveals why unscripted moments are so precious. Carson asks about her life in California, whether she's healthy, if she knows what aerobics is. Drew launches into a story about getting aerobicized because she didn't want to get confused, dancing while her mom was always on the telephone. The way she tells it, complete with sound effects of the phone ringing, is pure childhood storytelling. There's no media training here, no carefully crafted anecdotes designed to promote anything. It's just a kid sharing what life is like when your mom is always on the phone and never gets a chance to kiss you goodnight. Carson follows her lead, asking what her mother talks about, but he's careful not to push her to reveal any secrets. He relates it to his own life, mentioning his wife also likes to talk on the telephone, treating Drew's observations as valid and worth exploring. The conversation meanders through swimming pools and cold water, and lips turning black and blue through goggles that were too big and let water in her eyes. These aren't the kinds of topics that would make it into a modern talk show segment, but that's exactly what makes them so captivating. There's a naturalism here, a willingness to let the conversation go wherever it wants to go, trusting that the journey itself is more interesting than any predetermined destination. When they break for commercial, Carson checks in with Drew to make sure she knows what commercials are, and she confirms she's done some herself. It's a small moment, but it shows his constant awareness of where she is, making sure she's comfortable and oriented. Coming back from the break, Carson picks up on Drew's unusual first name, mentioning his secretary is also named Drew. When Drew reveals she knows 3 different Drews, and her mom gets confused when she says she's calling Drew, it's another one of those perfectly ordinary childhood observations that becomes comedy gold, simply because it's told with such honesty and enthusiasm. Then something happens that has become legendary. Drew smiles at Carson, and he compliments her pretty teeth. She thanks him, but then adds something that catches everyone off guard. She tells him it would be easier to talk without her teeth. Before anyone can process what she means, she reaches into her mouth and pulls out a flipper, a dental appliance covering her missing teeth, and places it on Carson's desk. The audience erupts. Carson is delighted. He asks to see her smile without it, and when she shows him her growing teeth, he's genuinely interested. He asks if she wears it when doing television shows, and she confirms she does. Then Carson makes an observation that's both funny and deeply respectful. He tells her that most women he knows would never do that, would never let anyone know the secret that they were wearing a little clip in their teeth. But Drew is honest. She's not hiding anything. She's 7 years old and completely herself. When Carson asks if it feels good, she's blunt again. No, they don't. They kill. So he suggests she just keep it out and they'll talk without it. The flipper stays on the desk for the rest of the interview. And Carson makes sure to remind her not to forget it when she leaves, joking that it's not polite to leave teeth on somebody else's desk. Drew responds that her mom would kill her if she left them, that she was about to when Drew lost them the other day. Even the conversation about her dentist becomes fascinating. Drew reveals she actually likes going to the dentist, which Carson notes makes her the first person he's ever met who enjoys it. She likes having her teeth cleaned, likes the yucky stuff that tastes good. When Carson asks why she really likes going, he guesses she has a crush on Dr. Smith. Drew admits that's one reason, describing him as not that old, probably in his 30s or 20s, but the real reason she likes going is because she doesn't want cavities, because he teaches her things, because he's very gentle with teeth. There's something touching about how she articulates her reasoning, mixed childish logic with genuine appreciation for someone who's kind to her. Then the conversation turns to the reason Drew is on the show in the first place, her role in a little movie called E.T., the Extraterrestrial. But even here, the discussion is allowed to unfold organically rather than hitting predetermined talking points. Drew explains that Steven Spielberg first interviewed her for Poltergeist, but she didn't want to do that movie because it was too scary. She recounts what Spielberg said about her having too much personality for Poltergeist, and how that led to him considering her for E.T. When she explains the audition process, testing whether she could be in awe of something, whether she could scream, her demonstration of both is completely uninhibited. She screams at full volume right there on the set, and Carson jokes that if she'd done that with her teeth in, they'd be 40 feet away. Drew shares that it was hard to scream because she had a sore throat at the time, but she told Steven she would try her best and practiced so much at home that she was able to do it. She describes coming home from the shoot sweating, needing to take a shower badly, being filthy from the dirty floors, her shoes all scuffed up. She's glad they weren't the pretty shoes she's wearing now because her mom would have been upset. Every detail is delivered with the kind of specificity that only comes from genuine memory, from a child processing an extraordinary experience through the lens of completely ordinary concerns about dirt and scuffed shoes. Carson gently teases her about a boy named Steven on her swimming team, though Drew seems genuinely confused about whether she's even on a swimming team. The conversation wends toward her famous family, her grandfather John Barrymore. When Carson asks if she's seen any of his pictures, Drew admits she saw one, but didn't like it, wasn't interested in that kind of thing. It's refreshingly honest. She doesn't pretend to revere her grandfather's work just because it's expected. Carson graciously notes that John Barrymore was a great actor, and that Drew has clearly inherited the Barrymore talent. Then Drew asks if she can say hi to Steven, meaning Spielberg. Carson says of course, and Drew looks directly into the camera and says she loves him. The audience applauds. Carson jokes that he's second best again, the story of his life with women. When he asks if Drew will do another motion picture, she says she's hoping to. Then she leans in with a confession. She probably shouldn't tell him this, but she thinks there's going to be a sequel to it. Carson plays along, saying he'll keep it just between them. It's a delightful moment of a 7-year-old trying to keep a secret while simultaneously revealing it to millions of viewers. They watch a brief clip from the movie, the dinner scene, and when it ends, Drew confirms she enjoyed making that movie. Carson notes that everybody in the world is going to see it, then mentions that besides Spielberg, Drew also counts Dudley Moore as one of her favorite actors. Drew confirms this, admitting she hasn't met him, but she's hoping to. Then she reveals she has a little song for Carson. He didn't know this, and she asks if she can sing it to him. He says, of course. What follows is Drew, teeth out, singing a sweet version of a song about his cute little baby face, telling him no one can take his place. When she finishes, Carson, clearly moved, jokes that no woman has ever sung to him before, with her teeth out. Drew tells him it's true. He does have a cute little baby face, that he deserves that song. She adds that she likes him too. Carson thanks her, wishes her much success, and invites her back any time she wants to return. What you've just witnessed isn't just a talk show interview. It's a document of a specific moment in time when television could still be genuinely surprising, when a host could dedicate real time to letting a conversation breathe and develop, when a 7-year-old child could be herself completely and have that self be enough, more than enough, to create something memorable. Johnny Carson's genius was never about dominating the conversation or getting to the punchline fastest. It was about creating space for his guests to reveal themselves, about listening with genuine curiosity, about adjusting his entire approach to meet whoever was sitting across from him. And Drew Barrymore, even at 7, understood something essential about being in front of a camera, that authenticity is magnetic, that you don't need to perform or pretend to be interesting when you're willing to just be yourself. This interview has endured for decades, not because of any particular joke or soundbite, but because it represents something increasingly rare in our media landscape. Two people actually connecting, actually present with each other, creating something unrepeatable and genuinely human. That's the magic you just experienced, and that's why this conversation will continue to be watched and cherished for decades to come.